Inflation at the consumer level still very high on the April reading at an annualized basis, up 8.3% in the US, less than the 8.5% we saw the month before, but more than expected. I think the consensus was around 8.1%. Now, all these numbers really don't mean much to the American consumer until you break it down like this. We made a list of stuff that's gone up and how much more it's gone up in the last year. Flour, 14%, milk, nearly 15%, coffee, nearly 14%, butter, over 15%, meat, 14%, and eggs, 22.5%. Also, we've seen rising energy costs, and even though they dipped a little bit, they are back up. In fact, in the last 24 hours or so, the US has recorded its highest ever, although not adjusted for inflation, price at the pump. I think it's something like $4.37 a gallon to fill up your car, which globally isn't much. US gas prices are generally low, but for Americans, I can tell you the sticker shock is incredible. So Joe Biden out in the heartland in Illinois talking to farmers and food processors. Now, he has said that he wants to battle inflation last week, but he's still trying to point the blame elsewhere, calling it Putin's price hike.
Right now, America is fighting on two fronts. At home, it's inflation and rising prices. Abroad, it's helping Ukrainians defend their democracy and feeding those who are left hungry around the world because Russian atrocities exist. And Jeff and the American farmers understand Putin's war has cut off critical sources of food.
Now, as we know, these inflation worries and supply chain shocks that we saw during COVID happened many months before the war in Ukraine. Partly they have been exacerbated by that, but this is a very big electoral issue now for Joe Biden as he goes into the midterm elections here in November, where the Democrats stand to lose potentially both houses of Congress. So it is a big deal. What could help? Well, they could get rid of the tariffs on Chinese goods. US researchers say it could knock about 1.5% off that inflation rate. But generally, we are seeing supply shocks, we are seeing supply problems, we are seeing people's wages rise, but when you factor in inflation, they're actually going down. This is not a good electoral scenario for Joe Biden, and he knows it. Nathan King, CGTN, just outside the White House.